We're going to switch over to Eating Upstate with Erin Shearer. She visits restaurants and other places upstate to tell us the stories of the people behind the food. She visited Harana Market, the family-owned and operated Filipino restaurant, an Asian market in Ulster County.
At Harana Market, Chris Maruccio and Eva Trignali offer their own unique brand of Filipino comfort food and Asian pantry items. In its 4 years of operation, it's received widespread coverage from publications like Eater and WCBS2 in New York City. Nikita Richardson of the New York Times called their tofu sisig dish, quote, "my one true love," and it's the subject of today's Eating Upstate. Eva Trignali grew up in the Hudson Valley and has a degree in international business from SUNY New Paltz. Chris Maruccio was raised in a Filipino household in San Diego, and their primary professional background is in real estate. The pair met at an LGBTQ+ nightclub in San Francisco, and after marrying in 2019, they relocated to the East Coast, initially settling in Brooklyn. However, like many New Yorkers, they found themselves fleeing the city during the pandemic. In their case, settling in Phoenicia. After relocating to Ulster County, Chris had a difficult time locating ingredients to make the Filipino dishes they loved locally. Chris and Eva decided to launch a business that would provide takeout and pantry items of the Asian diaspora, and set about looking for the perfect location, which they found on Wittenberg Road in Woodstock.
When we packed up all of our stuff and shipped it across the country, it was with the goal to actually move to Brooklyn. That was kind of where we settled. Chris wasn't sure about living upstate and hadn't been there before, and I hadn't spent much time in the city, so we decided to kind of start there. But then COVID happened like 6 months after we got there, and, like many people, well, for us, we didn't have any sense of community. We didn't know anyone there. We had just moved from across the country, and growing up in this area, having my family here, we quickly started looking for, in a really wide range. I mean, I grew up on the other side of the river. We were looking over there, much more north. We were kind of looking everywhere, anywhere that would have us. And it just, again, in a lot of kind of funny personal moments, ended up living in Phoenicia and happened to just drive by the Wittenberg store that was in Woodstock. And that was kind of like the catalyst for this idea that we had for a very long time. I mean, we knew our project would be called Harana. We knew it would involve bringing people together around food and kind of having a real community-oriented, caregiving sense of coming together, but we did not realize it would be in a restaurant necessarily. And then kind of driving by that Wittenberg store is where that fate changed to what we thought would be a country store with 1 or 2 food items, but then the demand was really there, so much so that we were selling out regularly. Shout out to our people who have been with us from the very early days, who kind of, it was new for all of us. We rolled with it and adapted, and then, transitioned to where we are now.
With COVID-19 restrictions still in place, Harana Market opened in January 2021. The initial focus was on selling takeout and Asian pantry items. It was an immediate runaway success, often closing early after selling out of food.
Yeah, that was a common occurrence for us in Woodstock. If you ever have seen the Wittenberg store, you'll know very quickly that there isn't a lot of space. And I don't know the exact square footage of the old Wittenberg store, but I think we were working with maybe 600 or 800 square feet, something like that. And we didn't have a walk-in, so we were using, a series of smaller refrigerators and just sort of making it work ad hoc. And so because of the lack of refrigerator space, we could only produce so much food. And, like Eva mentioned, the demand was greater than the amount that we were able to store, the amount that we were able to prepare. So that definitely played into a lot of the selling out, But frankly, it's such a joy to sell out of food, because We work so hard to make the food what it is, and if we did all of that work and no one showed up to eat it, that would be terribly sad.
Yeah, the theme of our first few years, and it seems to continue. These are good problems. Obviously the ideal is that we have enough food for every single person who comes in. We never want to disappoint anyone. But honestly, the reality of the fact being that we would run out of parking, we would run out of space to hold the food, and therefore the food. And that for being a young business who didn't have, it's not like we came from these storied commercial kitchen backgrounds and kind of have built these reputations. People really kind of took a chance on us and connected with what we were doing, and obviously found the food delicious, and it kind of ended up we were very receptive to what it could become, and in how we could serve our community.
From the beginning, Eva and Chris made creating and connecting a community a cornerstone of their business, whether it be the local LGBTQ plus community or the Filipino community in the Catskills and the Hudson Valley. In March of 2022, they created the Salu Salo Board, a pay-it-forward initiative where locals can pick up the tab for strangers.
And it was the first time we had to do a price increase. We were a brand new business, and it was COVID, and prices were jumping, and it was the first time we had to kind of do this. And we said, we really don't want our food to be inaccessible, but we also don't want to cheapen any part of the process. And Corey, who is now our general manager, had proposed, well, what if we did kind of like a pay it forward thing? And we did. We kind of, again, started small with a couple Post-its, and now there must be like 30 Post-its on the board, right now as we're speaking.
Following the mass shooting at the Colorado Springs nightclub Club Q in November 2022, Eva and Chris were inspired to create an initiative where members of the LGBTQ plus community could eat for free on Sundays.
Something happened, and it really triggered a moment of this desire to have people come together and feed them, and truly just offer it, knowing that on especially many people in the queer and trans community don't really have that. Many have chosen families, but many have challenging familial relationships with their bloodlines, and so many don't have a place to sit and eat together and walk in, and it really just feels like a family home. Because now it's become such an inherent thing. We've done it every Sunday. We've literally done thousands of meals. It's just become like, oh, where did that even become from? It just has, it feels like it was always just a part of us. But yeah, we basically offered the first one, and then we said we were doing this, and we were just feeding people. And then, we offered, let's do that again. That worked out really well. And then people started saying, well, hey, if you're doing that and you're doing that regularly, can I put some money on a card so you're not, shouldering the burden financially of this entire program? And slowly, we never even started it as hey, pay it forward. We just were like, hey, we'll feed people. Come on in, sit with us. Don't take it to go. I don't care. We just want to feed you. And then it turned into people saying no, I want to throw in on that. I want to help. And since that day, it is entirely self-sustained by different contributions. We have different people who specifically come in and are like, hey, how's the funds? Do you need anything? And then I'm always so proud when I can say nope, everyone's taking care of it. The account is flush. It's basically a pay it forward gift card. And then sometimes it's negative, and we've been covering stuff, and they're want to pay it forward and give us, a couple $100 towards those meals. So it really, it came about in this just real instinct of what do we even do? And what we knew was to bring people together and offer them a space to just exist as they are and as they want to in that moment. And then now it's ever since that day, so 2.5 years or something like that.
Menu items available at Harana Market include lumpia, a Filipino version of the egg roll, salag, a dish consisting of fried egg, fried rice, and the option of lumpia, fried chicken, or tofu, sisig, a dish that traditionally includes chicken liver and onions, with Harana offering pork and tofu options, with the liver withheld in the tofu version. Harana Market showcases produce from a variety of Asian farmers in the Hudson Valley. They source from Dancing Garlic Farm in Wawarsing, and they've also hosted a farmers market with them. They've also sourced from farms like Chatskill Farm in Accord, the Hudson Valley Cattle Company in Pine Plains, Honey Dog Farm in Hillsdale, Flowering Sun Mushrooms in Ellenville, Good Chi Farm in Kingston, and even local popcorn from Bjorn Corn, also located in Accord.
We try to work with our Asian farmers as much as possible, and the volume that we're currently producing is larger than I think some of those farms, they don't exactly, the numbers don't exactly match up in that way. So, like Eva was mentioning, every summer is a little different. We've worked with a different Asian farmer basically every year in a different capacity. And I am always looking to partner with as many local producers as possible and really help the local Asian businesses, the local Asian food businesses, because we're all in community together and we all really need to kind of help each other.
Truly, even outside of just the Asian farmers, I mean, we are so lucky to live in such a vibrant and bountiful agricultural area. I mean, us alone, we're right between Kelders and Saunderskill Farm. Right down the road, we have Davenport. I mean, we're surrounded by hundreds of acres of farmland. We have tofu makers and honey producers, and it is easy in that way to have access to really high quality, close to home ingredients. And I think then it's up to kind of the consumer to choose to prioritize supporting businesses that do that, and then it's up to the businesses to continue to supporting the producers. And there is this really beautiful cycle of support.
In just a little over 2 years into their operation, Chris and Eva realized that they had already outgrown their Wittenberg Road space. Despite their success, they had limited funds, so they set about raising money to buy a larger space.
Very quickly after we opened up, we realized that we needed more space. We needed to be able to produce more food. And, we needed to decide, are we going to double down? Are we going to stay at the scale? And we just kept talking a little bit about what are our big, hairy dreams? What are our big goals? What do we want to be? What do we want to grow up to be? We worked with an amazing broker who connected us with the property that we ended up buying, and we saw it the day before it went live on the market. And as soon as we saw it, we knew that it was the one for us. It checked a lot of our boxes for space, for parking. It was a restaurant previously, so it basically had all of the bones, the mechanical parts of a restaurant. We just needed to sort of put everything back together. So it took us about a year after we purchased it to sort of go through the approval process with the town, to do all the construction and to get it ready to be the next Harana Market. So it's been a minute, and in the making.
Harana Market opened their Accord location in December of 2023. The following April, the James Beard Awards announced their finalists for their 2024 awards. Chris received a nomination for Best Chef in New York State. They didn't win, but they found their experience a satisfying one.
Just being included on a list of such talented chefs, I mean, it's just such an honor. And to be recognized by the James Beard Foundation is just beyond my wildest dreams. I didn't really set out to do Harana to win awards of this caliber. That's never really been on my radar. It's not something that I was bent on doing. I frankly learned that I was nominated because we were tagged in something on Instagram, and then people just started texting us congratulations. And It's been a whirlwind, to be honest, ever since we got that semifinalist nomination, and then again in April when I was named a finalist. I mean, again, a whirlwind and just a slew of emotions. It just, to be a semifinalist, and then they're like, okay, next round, you're in. There are no words really that could describe how incredible that was, and I'm just so honored to still be on that list.
At the moment, Harana Market is currently working on acquiring their liquor license in hopes of carrying beer, wine, and cider. Forthcoming projects include their own line of products, including sauces, snacks, and meal kits for those that want to bring the Harana Market experience home with them.
So many plans, in this new space. I feel like there are endless possibilities. I mean, what we've essentially done is copy and pasted what we were doing in Woodstock and done that here in Accord. And obviously this is a different space. It has different needs. The people interact with the space much differently than they did before. We started off in Woodstock as a takeout only establishment, and now we have a food runner that brings the food out to your table and provides a little bit of an extra service. So I think you'll probably see some changes around some of the service that we'll be providing. I can't necessarily spoil the details quite yet, but we're definitely morphing into something a little differently in the new year.
And excitingly, we are in the process of getting our liquor license, so beer, wine, and cider, hopefully that will be coming in the new year as well. And really, I think for us, continuing those changes that Chris was kind of mysteriously talking about, and even getting our liquor license, and we've been doing a lot of catering, been hosting a lot of events at the space. We do event buyouts. People have been kind of renting the space. All of that, as we figure out how to best utilize the space, is really in the desire to make this entire thing sustainable for a very long time, for us to keep doing this and being here and showing up in the community. So that is our goal for the future, to run like a healthy, profitable business that thrives for ourselves and for the community. But I think how that will manifest, we're really excited about all the things that are kind of happening around the flow of the space, our liquor license. We've been launching a lot of new exciting, like our Kamayan special. We just did our holiday specials, which are very special, if I say so myself.
The special.
So, yeah, I think just continuing to bring what we're doing at a more refined and exciting pace. And, who knows? Who knows what is kind of fully, no one ever really knows, but we're so excited for everything that we're building together.
Harana Market is located at 5125 Route 209 in Accord. I'm Erin Shear. Eating Upstate is a production of WJFF, Radio Catskill.
And thanks, Erin, for that. That'll do it for this edition of Radio Chatskill. I'm Tim Bruno. Thanks for listening.